All right, we are live. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Youngling Jr. Welcome to another show. Something that's been going on in the news. I was just receiving a notification here. I thought was really important, especially to the women in Texas, men in general, but men in too, but especially women. You know, they're going to be the ones affected by this. That want to receive an abortion in the state of Texas. Now, the Roe v. Wade, right? And a little bit history of that. Started in 1969 in Norfolk by a young woman. She was 21 years of age. I believe her name was like Norva. And the young woman, about her is that she was on her third child, and she returned to Dallas and whatever. Her friends, I guess for whatever reason, I don't know what motivated her. She didn't want to take care of the child, so she got some consulting from her friends, and her friends was like, okay, well, I just think it would best you can, falsely claim to say, hey, you've been raped. And so, she decided to go to an abortion clinic, and that abortion clinic was actually, unfortunately, it was closed due to the police. So that's when it kind of led to a little lawsuit. She ended up meeting Weddington, one of the attorneys that helped fight for a case in that particular time. And so you had one of the Northern District attorney at the time, Henry Wade. He was representing the state of Texas. And he was like, okay, well, all right, well, now, you have this woman here. She said I should have the right, to go ahead and here, receive an abortion. And it's feel like I'm having some roadblocks and some challenges. Okay. And so with that whole thing is that, in that time in the 1960s, before 1973, the ruling they made Roe v. Wade, the abortion legal mainly in all 50 states. And some like states have some type of limitations with that, but they was only the only limitations, the only things you have access to have an abortion, to have the right as a citizen, is only if you were raped or through maybe incest as well. So other than that, you had to give the child up for adoption. And it was a court ruling in 1973. It ruled that it gave women the ability to actually go ahead and give not to give birth. Actually, when I actually found out too, of course it protects the women the rights to go ahead and not have a child if they don't want to, if they don't feel responsible, or or they just feel like, hey, I have too much responsibility right now. I'm not financially responsible to take care of this child, live in a low income household, so I don't want this child anymore. And from the Christian perspective, yeah, it's against the law, because it's like, okay, why you give human beings the right to give an abortion, to kill a child and all these type of things. So it's against our laws. So, and it's a huge like conspiracy about that, and division going on with that. When I actually did some further research later today too, is that states like Texas and everything, man, they said like, hey, if you don't get an abortion before 6 weeks, hey, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to do that. Actually, clinics, it's actually be illegal for clinics to start doing that as well, giving abortion after 6 weeks, because usually the normal is 23 weeks, 24 weeks. Okay, so allow at least about 3 months for a woman to make that executive decision, like, okay, I don't want this child anymore. But we fail to realize too is that a lot of women, when they have irregular cycles in their periods and stuff, they start missing it. They notice some of their bodies are different. They're gonna notice they probably get pregnant around like their 4 week period. So now they got 2 weeks to actually get themselves together. Like, okay, should I, get an abortion? Now this is going to affect like low income women. The reason why I said it is because it costs about at least between $475 to $550 to get an abortion. Okay. If you don't have that, extra kind of money, you're not going to get it. At the end of the day. Now, states like Georgia, Florida, like, you could be wait to 23 weeks. It's cool. But yes, in Texas, it's very, it's getting kind of heated right now. I think Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, she's working on trying to, at least push that Roe v. Wade bill. Because, I'm not a woman and everything, too. So, I can sit up here and say from a man's perspective, like, I'm in the disagreements with it. Like, I don't really believe that a child should be killed, because in 6 weeks, it's actually, if you look at according to the doctors in the ultrasound, there's a heartbeat. So it's some type of cardiac activity within that first 6 weeks, in the fetus, so in the woman's womb. So at the end of the day, though, it's the woman's choice. I am in agreement, like, unless that it's gonna, if the woman gives birth, that she's going to have severe medical issues, or she may possibly die, because women have died in childbearing too. So I believe that's the only exception, to me personally, that a woman should get an abortion. Yes, I understand like rape, incest, that's very unfortunate, you know, because you know, got women that's forced out of their will. You know, you can give it up to adoption because that child, you know, of course, in the acts to be here, but that child can be one day, you know, be something, you know, that's gonna be contributing to the world. Like because like with women in the Bible, it's like, you know, they actually you know, they actually they get like satisfaction, they get blessed by through childbearing, you know, because of the sin in the world that happened in the Garden of Eden in the book of Genesis. So but right now in the state of Texas, we're focusing on, there's actually about like you know, 7 million women, I want to say 7 million women in that state that's childbearing. Okay. And the staggering results is that 70% of the women that actually, you know, in 2019 that went to the abortion clinic were African American. So I mean, yeah, you got some whites there and some Hispanics that go to the abortion clinics, but majority is African American women. And we trying to figure out why is that? You know, what is causing that? You know, is it because like, you know, is it, you know, I feel like that the baby daddy or, you know, is irresponsible. They don't feel like he was going to be an unfit parent. Because you don't really, it's really amongst single women that's doing this. You get about 8-9% of married women doing it, but for the most part, you know, when a woman and a man is married, you know, they're in that union, that had that covenant together, they usually don't get an abortion. They welcome, you know, childbearing. They welcome that unless they have severe medical issues or they can't give birth at all. So at the end of the day, man, you know, it's a real just division going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna roll through this article. We're gonna talk about it together. And see what you guys' thoughts on this, man. You know, I just feel like this was kind of important, man. So things are getting really kind of heated in Texas. So I'm just like, geez, man. So we're gonna see about this. We're gonna read this. Appreciate people coming in. Really, really appreciate that. All right, cool. All right, here we go. All right. So the confusion in Texas says unprecedented abortion law takes effect. So no lawsuits have appeared to have been filed, but call centers for abortion services turned into helplines crowded with carrying women. Some began seeking services by crossing state lines. All right. So in Houston, when the Supreme Court decided this week that Texas could carry out and enforce the nation's most restrictive anti-abortion law, even some staunch abortion opponents were surprised. So the ruling suddenly forced them, as well as abortion providers, to confront a legal situation that has little precedent but immediate impact on women across the state. So the law essentially bans abortion after 6 weeks. Yep. So after 6 weeks of pregnancy, and uniquely allows private citizens to bring suit against abortion providers. So on Thursday, anti-abortion groups were on the hunt for viable lawsuits, even as other conservative states consider emulating the Texas legislation. So you can buy only a dream of these kinds of things, said Melanie Salazar, who headed a student anti-abortion group at the University of Texas at San Antonio. I won't be surprised that San Antonio is Texas is a very conservative state. So to be young, to be an activist, this is definitely a celebratory time. Abortion rights groups and providers steel themselves for potential legal fights, vowing to comply with the law, even as they fought for it to be thrown out. So the uncertainty came after the conservative-leaning Supreme Court declined late Wednesday to temporarily halt the restrictions, but a decision that heightened expectations among anti-abortion groups, the Roe v. Wade, so which is landmarked in 1973 decision establishing a constitutional right to the procedure. So that can be overruled by the court. So it also pushed the issue of reproductive rights in the forefront of Democratic campaigns in Texas and around the country. President Biden called a law in the Supreme Court decision to let it stand, an unprecedented assault on constitutional rights, and pledged to explore steps the federal government could take to insulate those in Texas from the law and ensure access to safe and legal abortions. So Nancy Pelosi vowed to call a vote on a measure that will protect abortion access for women. Although the law does not allow those seeking abortions to be sued, panic and confusion reigned among women in the process of seeking the procedure on Thursday. So call centers for abortion services turned into helplines crowded with crying women, weighing unforeseen circumstances and undesired options. Some began seeking services by crossing state lines. Yeah, going to different states, man. That's why I think that's going to be the move for a lot of women. That's actually into, you know, the Planned Parenthood and going in supporting of abortion. They like, hey, I got to get some type of I got to get away from these restrictions, you know. So, I mean, you know, there's so many abortions that happen every single year, man. It's hundreds of thousands of it. It's a huge thing, man. You got some conservatives that's celebrating this. You know, they think like, hey, this is a victory. Christian perspective, like yes, and now these women probably be responsible. They don't go ahead and just open their legs up to anyone. But I don't know, man. I really want to know what the women's thoughts on this, though, because I know abortion, that's a very sensitive topic. So that's why I'm being very neutral about this. But I want to go ahead and just give this article to you guys and, just really read about this and how we are as a nation. So patients are crying. They say there's a lot of anxiety and frustration. I bet abortion is essential in healthcare. So one woman who had an ultrasound on Wednesday discovered she was just over 5 weeks pregnant, under the limit of illegal procedures, but the woman also tested positive for the coronavirus, which meant she had to isolate for a period of time and would not be able to have the abortion within the legal window. Yeah, that's interesting too. Like I said, some women might not even know they're pregnant until like 4 or 5 weeks in. So now, financially, if you don't have that money, you got to hurry up and come up with $550 some dollars, to get the procedure done legally. And yeah, like I said, with COVID-19 hitting, you're going to at least be quarantined for 14 days. So that can put a halt to a lot of things. So under the new law, any person across the nation can bring a lawsuit against anyone who aids or abates an abortion performed in Texas if it's past the 6-week mark, and possibly earn $10,000 if the suit is successful. Wow. So the category of defendants could potentially include drivers who bring women to clinics or donors to nonprofit groups that advocate for abortion rights or assist women in paying for the procedure. Abortion clinics brace for an onslaught of lawsuits. Instead, what seemed to be happy was their complete compliance with the law without a single suit filed. That's interesting, though. Wow. So they can bring a lawsuit against anyone who aids or abates an abortion performed in Texas. Wow. Yeah, that's the thing too. They perform an abortion in Texas. Yeah, with after that 6-week mark, you could be penalized. So I mean, this is a really restrictive, very strict abortion ban here. I think states like Georgia, Tennessee, not Tennessee, Georgia, Kentucky. I think it's Georgia and Kentucky, maybe Tennessee. They was trying to no, Mississippi. That's kind of fall super along that, but they haven't gotten as far as Texas right now. So at this moment, I know in Georgia, like you can get an abortion to 23 weeks. So most some states they like some states like California, they viable, like hey, whenever that's cool with you. But if it's like before the 6-week, after the 6-week, with this in Texas, it's like no, not at all. That's when the heart is beating. So abortion clinics braces for an onslaught of lawsuits though. So instead, what seemed to be happening was near complete compliance with the law without a single suit filed. This is serious. So Stephen Valdelic, a constitutional law professor at the University of Texas at Austin, said that Texas law had not prompted a rush of lawsuits because it was accomplishing what it has intended to do. Well, intimidate clinics into performing few abortions while making it fiendishly difficult for them to challenge the restrictions. The law is deliberately designed to create the exact procedure whereas we are in now, Mr. Valdelic said. The Supreme Court majority hid behind the morasses, he said, and the non-intervention is anomalous potent for the future of Roe. Wow. Yeah, man. It's interesting, man. The court now includes 3 members appointed by President Donald Trump who have vowed to name Justice preferred to overrule the Roe v. Wade. Meantime, abortion providers said they were complying with the new restrictions, even as they lamented a particularly severe blow to organizations that assist poor and immigrant communities. Yeah, like South Texas, Southeastern Houston. That's what Planned Parenthood in Houston provides abortion. 7 women came in on Wednesday for ultrasounds mandated by the state at least a day before an abortion can be conducted. So a small fraction of usually 20 or 30 that came in at any given day, said Melanie Linton, the chief executive of Planned Parenthood at the Gulf Coast. Of the 7, 4 were told their pregnancies were already too far along for an abortion to be legal under the new law. It hurts because they began to cry and they asked, "Are you sure?" Ms. Dixon said, "It's been a law after law after law," she added, "but this is the worst." And yeah, you got people breaking down, crying on this. I mean, is Texas doing a good? Like I said, man. I mean, we all got different political beliefs. Some people say, "Hey, this is God given. This is a right." But then again, too, some women be like, at least let's give us that leeway, that option, because well, about something bad having more something, I understand, like we all make mistakes. You lay down with someone, you think that person is going to be with you But turns out like, dang, carrying a child might be a burden. You might be a single mother. You might be out there, just alone. You might not have family or friends that's going to able to assist you and help you raise that child. You may try to get through school, but you made a mistake having sex because it felt good, and you just thought like, hey, let's just get it on and everything, and it's just the end result is, you're pregnant, and you at least have an option to get, at least get rid of, or if you even put it for adoption, that child is still living, that child is still there, and eventually, you might still feel like, dang, like, with these regrets, like you still might have regrets. Some women might have regrets, even though like, hey, if I would have had this child, my life would have been different. I probably wouldn't be, my subconscious mind wouldn't be eating at me alive. But same time though, I mean, I understand like some women, kind of want that choice, be like, hey, this is, now you're restricting us. Like I can't do what I want in my body. So like I said, in America, we do live in a democracy, so we're not kind of used to these strict policies here. But same time though, in the Christian faith though, like, we're highly against it. We look at it as murder, it's a way of murder. And you have to take responsibility, especially if you're fornicating, you having sex before marriage. I mean, this is the price that you pay, and this is a lot of people and pastors and people in the church and Christians, and we kind of have this mentality of that. So it's a really interesting thing though. I was just like, man, like this is very something, here. So like I said, we're gonna move forward. Here. The only option, she says, to refer women to clinics hundreds of miles away. To states like New Mexico, Colorado. Learner's Clinic is McAllen, Texas, a large city in South Texas. Is 615 miles away in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a state with its own abortion restrictions. So New Mexico, go to Colorado. Okay. 85 to 90% of procedures in the state happen after the 6th week of pregnancy. So the Texas law amounts to a nearly complete ban on abortion in Texas, according to the lawyers for several clinics. So the law known as the Senate Bill 8. Okay, so referred to as the heartbeat bill. So it prohibits abortions after the 6 weeks of pregnancy. Before many women are even aware they are pregnant, but there is no heart at this stage of development, only electrical activity in developing cells. So the heart's not fully formed until later in pregnancy. It's just like electrical cardiac activity. Heart is not really fully formed until later in pregnancy. So anti-abortion activists in several states said they remain focused on how the Supreme Court will rule on the Mississippi law banning most abortions after 15 weeks. The court will hear the case in its next term, which starts in October. So the law has been blocked by lower courts. Upholding it would mean overturning Roe v. Wade. In Texas, anti-abortion groups have prepared for that eventually. Oh, wow. So during this year, legislative sessions at different abortion bills was also passed and signed into law by Governor Greg Abbott. It would ban all abortions in Texas from the moment of conception. Wow. They're really passing this, man. Dang. That's crazy, man. The Senate Bill 8 is called a heartbeat bill. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. Like the other similar bills around the country, it's set to take effect if the Supreme Court overruns on Roe v. Wade. Let's see what the comments on here. This will back alley abortions was far more dangerous and it can kill the woman. Why can't the U.S. Supreme Court just declare that any enforcement of the Texas fetal heartbeat law at the behest of any civil plaintiffs by any state court? I don't know, man. Supreme Court, that final decision. Texas has thrown the baby on the bathwater and trying to circumvent federal law, allowing abortion. They are throwing the entire legal system into chaos. When I belong to, people figure out that this stunt they have pulled, deputizing people to haul others into civil court and providing a bounty reward for some legislative infraction. This is tough, man. This is really tough, though. I don't know. But I just kind of, want to, really talk about this, though, because I know as the country came along with the Roe v. Wade in 1973, a lot of women have the ability to, get abortion in all 50 states. But, some states have their legal restrictions and now they can go away about it. Like I said, it depends on the politics and stuff like that. Governor Greg Abbott, like I said, super conservative. So This is the thing, and they kind of encouraging like Democrats not to really repeal to the Republicans, because it's going to be a lot of bickering. It's going to be a lot of back and forth going on. So pretty much a lot of things are not going to be going in their favor. And so that's the serious thing about it. So we don't know, man. This is something that's it's been going on for a very very long time though. And some people believe like, hey, this is a way for women to have to finally, the responsibility of just not just laying with anybody or think twice before they even have sex. If you're not ready to have sex, don't risk yourself having a baby that you can't take care of. And this will kind of eliminate unwanting children. Women having children out of wedlock, things they can't afford. It destroys the communities, as compared to like when you're in a marriage and when a woman is just under a covenant, right? With a man that, okay, they can come in and they can bring in marriage, they can bring in a child, and then that man is going to be there to discipline, is going to be there to provide, to protect, so it's during those provisions. So the man is there and the woman is there. So therefore, they can be on a natural order. So the man can be in this role, the woman can be in their role. So the man is the disciplinary and the woman is the nurturer, and they can all be together to raise this child. So instead of just a mom or a dad, or especially a mom, just playing both roles, to being a disciplinary, then gotta go to school, then gotta take care of herself, put a roof over her head, and do all these things in the world, and get an attack, and come home and be a mom. So I mean, like I said, it's pros and cons to it at the end of the day. So I think a lot of conservative states might try to follow suit with it, because Governor Greg Abbott is successfully doing this with the state of Texas, and but it's a real interesting thing, man. Things are really changing in the court of law, though. So, so we'll see what's gonna happen, in the future, though. But I just want to go ahead and talk about this, though, man. So, I think I see with Nancy Pelosi. I think I was reading this. Said President Biden announced that he is launching a whole of government effort to respond to the decision, looking specifically to the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Justice to see what steps the federal government can take to ensure that women in Texas have access to safe and legal abortions. Yeah, so they're really working on that. Republicans promised to overturn Roe v. Wade, and they have. This is from AOC. Democrats can either abolish the filibuster and expand the court, or do nothing as millions of people's bodies, rights, and lives are at sacrifice for far right minority rule. By a 5-4 vote, the Supreme Court just allowed Texas to enforce a law that prohibits abortions. Yep, prohibits abortion after 6 weeks, and that's the Senate 8 bill. So that we just read. Justice Sotomayor with the whom Justice Breyer and Justice Kagan joined dissenting. The court's orders is stunning. Presented with an application to adjoin a flagrantly unconstitutional law engineered to prohibit women from exercising their constitutional rights and evade judicial scrutiny. Also, too, some people was talking about this is a violation of the 14th Amendment as well. Natural born citizens, have the rights to pursue life, liberty, and protection, and property. You know what I'm saying? And no state should forbade them, the rights, or you should enforce any type of law, that's unconstitutional. So I mean, at the end of the day, man, we'll see, what's just going on in this country, though. Man, wow. Republicans promise. So yeah, AOC, she was going to say Democrat-controlled state legislators has passed their own attempts to codify Roe v. Wade should a conservative majority Supreme Court strike down the ruling. So the New York version not only codify abortion, but remove protections for babies in the womb, even those wanted by their mothers. It struck down laws treating the death of an unborn baby as a homicide. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people feel like it's an act of murder, man. It's gonna be interesting though. See, I think I had something to around here. Roe v. Wade. Well, we already did a history of Roe v. Wade though. Let me see. Mm-hmm. So this is a chart for public support for Roe v. Wade. The blue is favor, the red is opposed. Wow, that is, yeah, dang. So you see like 60% of people kind of favored it in 1975, 30% opposed it. That's interesting. Wow. 1990s, it started hiking up, and 65% people's in favor to it. Let me go over. That's interesting though. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and close out here. That's all I really want to say about this. Yeah, we'll see this. See, this is gonna happen, man. That's a really big executive decision from the Supreme Court. It really is. 1973 decision, 72 decision. Yeah. So we'll see, man. You know, the women's just slowly losing their rights about it. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna start sharing. All right, well, you guys continue to like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Like I said, they didn't make this video too long, but I really appreciate everyone coming out here and going to check this video a little bit later. But that's what I really want to talk about, man. Y'all share this video. Tell me what your guys' thoughts on this. Is Texas is doing a really good job, or is Texas progressing or regressing, or this is just a way to really control women in a way? So to the point that, hey, they can't do anything. They don't have pretty much no right or say in their bodies. I really appreciate the people coming in. I really do. Like I said, you guys can do some more further research on this. I feel like in my heart, I kind of want to talk about this though, kind of passionate about it. I might go ahead and make another video, but yeah, man, I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you so much for everything. All right, it's your boy Young Lean Jr. You guys can like, comment, subscribe, share this video. I'm out. Deuces.